There I am. All right, guys. Man, do we have a lot to go over this morning? Lots of catalysts, lots of opportunities, I believe, but we're also coming up against more risk in the market. So let's start with that macro look and possibly thinking about that risk. I've been talking about it for a while here with QQQ and SPY under the 20 DMA and earnings. So, could earnings have an impact? Look at all these bad earnings reports. NVIDIA, Salesforce, Dollar Tree, Peloton, Abercrombie and Finch, they all missed and guided lower. NVIDIA looked absolutely terrible. My initial thought was this thing's going to be down 10%. I found out later, though, they pre-announced over here on August 8th, so that when they had that gap down. So they already took a hit, now 167. But what wasn't pre-announced back in August 7th is guiding Q3 revenue $1 billion lower. So, man, look at this. I mean, these are different companies that deal with different parts of the economy, right? NVIDIA is the graphics chip. Salesforce.com is, maybe you can read through in terms of business recession or softness. Maybe companies are decreasing sales and marketing efforts over with less Salesforce. Dollar Tree, which was doing great. I didn't have a chance to really read this report, but I think they missed on revenue, which could be a little bit concerning. Yep, worse than expected Q2 sales results and issued Q3 EPS guidance below estimates. So that's a little bit concerning because we saw, well, who knows? Maybe people are trading up again. I don't know. But this has been one of the strong ones in retail as people shifted their budgets lower. Peloton was an obvious one. That's a like COVID bust play. If I knew they had earnings, that would have been like an obvious short. This company's in trouble. All right. And Abercrombie and Finch. So all those negative reports in an environment where QQQ and SPY are below the 20 DMA, I'm not really changing, though, what I've been saying for a long while is, longer term, intermediate term, I still now. And I think this is a technical correction. You can possibly find support at the 20 DMA, but if the earnings get really bad, other catalysts come in, maybe you go all the way to the 200 DMA. And is that the weekly? I'm sorry, hold on. That's the weekly. Okay. Well, you do see 20-week support there. Let's switch to the daily. Okay, 50 DMA. 50 DMA is really where I'd like to hold the line on both the Q and SPY. If we drop below 50 DMA, you got to think about retesting the bottom. So, I've been taking some off the table. I've been quick to take profits, building a little bit of a cash position. So that's the way I'm playing it. Also want to let you know that on Friday, there's comments from Powell at the Jackson. I think they've been in Jackson Hole all week, and there's going to be some comments Friday. So some people are a little bit worried about that. I'm not so worried either way. Listen, inflation was 0% month over month, June to July, and there's also midterms coming up. So I don't anticipate they're going to get super aggressive before the elections. Could be wrong. Maybe I'm a cynic about politics, but that's why I'm a little bit comfortable here right now. All right. Let's see. Now let's look at, you can see Bitcoin pretty much flat. ARKK is up because probably mostly because of TeleDoc. We'll get to that in a second. Here's TeleDoc right here. Tesla's up too. Okay. ARKK's Tesla and TeleDoc helping ARKK this morning. Tesla did a 3-for-1 split this morning, so it's getting a little bit of a boost there. But also, there's a boost in terms of California. I think they're voting on it today, expected to pass, basically banning the sales of internal combustion engine vehicles by the year 2035. That's only 13 years from now. I think this was proposed back in April, but it looks like it's going to be passed now. So that's giving a tailwind to electric vehicle stocks. So not just about the split, you see Tesla and also lithium. So if you go down the list, you'll see GOEV is up a little bit. I don't have all the EV stocks here, but lithium stocks have been up. LTHM, LAC. Actually, let me take a look at LTHM. That's one of the biggest lithium stocks. And you can see they've been up all week on this developing news out of California, and also the Inflation Reduction Act. Obviously, there's like multiple stack catalysts now for EV, between the money coming from the Inflation Reduction Act, this California proposal, and now you have this split with Tesla. So short-term sentiment's very high for the EV sector. Now, Teladoc is up 5.5% because Amazon pulled out of telehealth. We put the article in there. It was behind the paywall. We were able to get it for you. I think it was from the Washington Post in the VIP room. And so Amazon pulling out, what's that mean for Teladoc? Obviously, the market is saying, hey, that's good for Teladoc, get a competitor out of the way. One of the things I want to be looking at, though, one of the comments in the article was that employers didn't see any value in the service. So they signed up like half a dozen employers and they said, we don't see value in the service, so they cut it off. So something to be, watchful for in terms of, let's say, Teladoc and DRIO. Now, DRIO is not exactly telehealth, but all of these companies, there's some overlap. Even with what Amazon was doing and what Teladoc was doing, there's some overlap with what DRIO is doing, which is more the chronic self-care, chronic digital management of your care, versus telehealth, which is strictly like, the logistics of setting an appointment up with your doctor. But Teladoc's been moving into that chronic management with the purchase of Livongo. And I believe when I read the article about Amazon Care, they also were at least had aspirations to include some of those services in that service that's being discontinued. So what's the impact? Market thinks competitors pulling out, good for Teladoc, up 5%. Could there be a sentiment tailwind for DRIO today? Yeah, absolutely. There could be. I'm not counting on it. Longer term, DRIO has been following. I don't have the comparison here, but over the course of a year, DRIO and Teladoc have been basically on the same path and similar negative returns over the past year. DRIO's doing a little bit better overall, but it doesn't necessarily follow it day to day. So maybe we'll get a sentiment boost in DRIO today. Maybe not. We're still waiting for that catalyst to come out. 2 or 3 catalysts we're waiting on DRIO to come out. And those who've been following the story know about that and what catalysts we're waiting for. All right, moving on over here. Oh, T-Mobile. This was a nice call out by, I think Tony brought it up first in the community. Ariel jumped on it. T-Mobile has an event with SpaceX tonight. It was tweeted out by SpaceX, and then Elon Musk retweeted it. It did do well yesterday after that news came out. You can see all the tons of action in call options. Interestingly, social media is almost dead. No one's talking about it, even though obviously the market was buying it. I think that social media chatter is going to increase. I am playing this. I'm playing this with options. This is very much a psychology play. It's psychology and event anticipation. Got to be really, really careful here about sell the news. And you got to be careful because we're near an all-time high at 150. That's probably going to be very, very strong resistance. So, my plan is probably to sell almost all of my options today ahead of the event tonight. First of all, the event tonight might end up being a disappointment in terms of what it might mean fundamentally for T-Mobile. Obviously, you get the higher exposure. You can get sentiment buyers tomorrow morning, but it's very possible you also have sell the news tomorrow morning, and the peak might be right at the open tomorrow morning. So, maybe I'll be selling probably most of it, 50 to 75%. Definitely before the close today, and maybe selling the remainder right at the open tomorrow morning. But even holding overnight could be a risk, even though you get all those eyeballs and you get the sentiment and the potential buyers tomorrow morning. Again, you could have disappointment about high expectations for what this means for T-Mobile. You can have fundamentals selling this at the open tomorrow morning. So it's definitely risky to be holding this overnight. But so far, it looks like the play is working based on the timing of when most of us got in this. So we'll be seeing that nice little trade idea from the community. Thank you guys on TMUS, T-Mobile. All right. Bunch of other news. Lots of stuff came out this morning. Let's go to DXLG. So we had all those terrible earnings reports, one that stood out. And most of these are stocks I have my watch list. So I'm at least a little bit familiar with these names. So DXLG, they had an earnings report which looked absolutely spectacular. It's like a clothing, online e-commerce clothing company. They went from like nothing during COVID because they did like a deal with Amazon. Look at this. They went from like 30 cents to $9 on that as they grew up, and they got this nice deal with Amazon. I believe that was a catalyst. Anyway, this morning, great earnings by my count. EV to EBITDA is under 5. They raised guidance. They're cash flow positive. They're buying back shares. They have no debt. I mean, this looks really interesting, especially for some of the fundamentalists in our community. So I put a note out in the VIP research room to see if we can get other researchers on DXLG and let us know what this could be fundamentally worth. I always like to have that fundamental core behind my trade ideas. It gives me confidence to be able to then take advantage of sentiment, catalysts, and technicals, knowing there's like a fundamental floor. I did start a starter position in this this morning at various prices between 475 and 492. I believe I got in. But that earnings report looked spectacular. I've had some good luck this year jumping on really good earnings reports. PLAB comes to mind. That worked out really well, but there's been a few others as well. Even Clearfield. I mean, lots of opportunities. If you buy a stock after good earnings, they seem to go on multi-day or multi-week runs if it's truly a good earnings report, if we're not missing anything. So let's jump on the research on DXLG. Quickly look at the it's right now being blocked by the 200 DMA and pre-market there. So watch that, $5. And it's also the 50-week moving average. So lots of resistance around $5. That's good and bad, right? The good is when you have a lot of multiple resistance at different time frames, like the 200-day and the 50-week, that if it breaks it, that usually becomes an explosive breakout move, right? So possibly we're going to be resistance at 5. Maybe, oh man, if this fills the gap or something, if this like goes to the low 4 somehow, 450, something like that at the open, I'd be buying hand over fist at 450 and hoping for a breakout above 5. But it could gap and run. Those numbers look really, really good. Oh, it's moving right now as we speak. Is that you guys? I don't know. All right. So that's DXLG. All right, one note of clarification on NKLA, because I did put this in the VIP room yesterday and also early this morning before I realized my information was a little bit off. I posted something about a 3 million share insider buy, or maybe a 30 million, a big insider buy by the CEO. Turns out it wasn't like a open market transaction. It was some sort of swap or collateral for real estate. I don't know. You can go look at the SEC filings and you'll see the footnote on the bottom. These were not open market purchases. That doesn't mean it won't go up just because of the Form 4. You see the gap up is because of that Form 4 last night. But is it real? Is it not? You know, because it's not an open market purchase, I'm thinking it could fill the gap this morning. But also, I said you have the EV catalyst as an EV stock. Lots of very high EV sentiment right now. So possibly it'll do well, but because that's not an open market purchase, I'm avoiding that. NKLA. Actually, I got in at like 616 and then I sold it at 614. Took a 2-cent loss once I realized my thesis was off. Okay. So, all right. FREY, this has been on our watch list for a long time. This is a DSPAC battery play. So I've always been interested in this. I'm interested in batteries. You got to be, right? I mean, we need batteries for all the EV stuff. But this is like a far away from making money. I think they're still like early in their whole production process and research and development. But wanted to point this out because Goldman Sachs came in this morning and put in a raised from neutral to buy with an $18 price target. I think if you there's some commentary in here somewhere seeing about the reasoning behind that. You can go look at that. But I'm not in it. I'm not going to chase a gap up here, but I'm watching this. And maybe if we get this gap filled or something like that. I had been in this in the past, but not in it right now. All right, we talked about DRIO. I've been in this for a while, both a core position and a trading position. Yesterday, I was telling you guys my target was 738, 737. I ended up selling half of my trading shares in after hours yesterday, closer to 730 ahead of my target because I just wanted to raise a little cash because of all these earnings, so specifically NVIDIA and Salesforce. So I'm like, risk is a little more elevated here. I don't know if I should wait for the penny in terms of my exit here, although now it's hitting it. You can see it's hitting that 200 DMA right now to the penny, 737. Still have half of my trading shares. So now that I actually sold half last night, I feel like I have a little more comfort in terms of holding to see if we break that 200 DMA. I'm not very hopeful. There's not a lot of stocks breaking 200 DMAs these days, but we'll see. On UUUU, CCJ, another one. So why, by the way, why is uranium jumping? It's because yesterday, we missed this yesterday morning. Ah, man, I wish we didn't miss it. But Japan Prime Minister said, let's look into, I don't know the exact legal processes by which this is happening, but reports coming out that Japan wants to look into building more nuclear power plants. So the whole uranium sector just exploded yesterday, including UUUU, CCJ, DNN, and one of our favorites one, SMR. Oh, here it is right there. SMR. That's another DSPAC. SMR, which is the small modular reactors. We've had some presentations on this in our happy hours, which is now renamed our collaborative research sessions, Wednesdays at 4:30 p.m. And there's a big research group, a lot of people interested in SMR in our community. You can see it's hitting new 52-week highs here. So that's great. Got a core position in that. Not a large position. When I say core, I mean a position I'm just going to hold long term. I have in my IRA. So awesome for all the uranium stocks. I'm wondering where CCJ is in terms of resistance levels. Yeah, I mean, got some resistance here at $28, $27, $28. Yeah, I really don't know how much more uranium is going to run, right? So that's why I took some off the table there at this 200 DMA on UUU. Let's look at DNN real quick. I also own that. Got a nice amount of uranium exposure in my IRA. DNN maybe has more room to 134, a few cents higher. Okay. What else? We got some also. Let me see. Oh, QCCUF also has some uranium exposure. I put a note out to Chris Hampton. This is his baby, his stock. The Twitter account of QCC put something out. Did it come out? I don't get good news feeds on these ticker symbols with F's on them over here in the TD app. But in any case, Twitter, they posted something about drill results for QCCUF. So I'm assuming that's for copper. Let's see if Chris chimes in and lets us know how important that is. But I believe they still have exposure to uranium via their stake in baseload. By the way, is baseload still out there? Let's see how baseload's doing. Another uranium play. You can see baseload did really well here the last couple days. I'm not sure how many shares of baseload QCCUF still has. There was no impact on QCCUF yesterday. Maybe if they still own shares of baseload, we got to hear from Chris. And if the drill results today were good, maybe QCC can finally start moving. Little penny stock there. LICF, so far this trade's not working out for me, but I am sticking with it because this has both lithium and uranium. So this is a minor. They're not like LTHM making money yet. You know, it's all exploratory, but they have both lithium and uranium. And we have, right, the sentiment tailwinds and again with what's happening in California and more ICEs with the Inflation Reduction Act, with Japan going into uranium. I mean, this, I'm down on it, but I think I got in at 227 yesterday. Overweight for a trade. I'm looking for the 200 DMA closer to 260. Not working yet. Right now, I'm sticking with it. We'll see what happens. IPI, just an update on this. I got in this when it broke the 50 DMA. Look at this bullish 2050 cross. This has been up because natural gas has been up. It's now finally catching up, trying to catch up with CF and Moss in the potash sector. My target was about 56. I had to sell. I ended up selling half of my trading shares yesterday and after hours ahead of my 55 target. I went a little bit for psychological reasons. I'd like to kind of round down or up to whole numbers. So even though the 200 DMA is like 55.67, I had my sell order at 55. After hours, I decided to sell half. Didn't get a great price at like 53.50 because I was just up so much within a matter of a few days. And again, I wanted to raise money once again because what I saw with NVIDIA and CRM and where the indices are below the 20 DMA and with the Jackson Hole comments coming later this week, wanted to raise some money. So I did sell half of my trading position. And you know what? It feels good. Like the other one. What was the other one I sold half of? It was, now I forget. You guys probably remember. I just told you. But anyway, the other one, UUUU, and now IPI, I sold half. Feels good because I feel like, again, I can stay to see if it breaks the resistance levels. Probably not likely, but if they do, they can really boom. So that'll be cool. I'm stuck in GOEV still. Man, I'm just ashamed of myself. I've had so many opportunities to sell this between 4 and 4:30 on all these pops, and I did not take them. It's sitting here at resistance at the 20 DMA at 370. I took a closer look this morning. I'd say actually more like 377, the high of the candle on August 19th. maybe we get one more shot at this. Obviously, we have the EV sentiment maybe, which can help this breakout. And this time I better sell it. All right. All right, we got Celsius, which I'm not backing down on this. Yesterday, I was like, let's post a rocket emoji for each dollar it goes up. And we got like 2 or 3 of them. I think it hit 117. But I was like, this is fun. You know, my target's 120 on this. Rex is looking possibly for 140s. But to me, this chart very reminiscent of the cup breakout in Clearfield. Over here, you saw after that cup broke out, went from 88 to 130. Now with Celsius, looks like, did it have a little bit of a handle? Or yeah, it had a little bit of a handle, little small. So I don't know if you can really call that a cup and handle. But yeah, very similar to CLFD. But now your support's at 110. And I feel pretty confident about that support. So I don't know. I would love it to get to 120 in one day. I wish it did it yesterday, but it could take weeks, right? I'd love Rex to be right. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I am holding on to Celsius. Strong conviction with strong support at $1.10. PLAB, I've been talking to you about this the last few days. I've been saying earnings are coming Tuesday. It now may be a good time to get into PLAB. And this morning, an analyst came out, Stifel, increased price target from 23 to 27. Man, they usually don't do that unless they're pretty confident earnings are going to be a beat, upgrading right before earnings. So I actually added some trading shares this morning at like 23.20 or something like that. I already have a nice big fat core. So I'm thinking today, now that people see that catalyst and they're like, oh, earnings on Tuesday, let's run this a little bit. It's below the high of, what is it? 25.81? I thought it was higher. Yeah, 25.81. Maybe this has a buck in it today or something like that for my trade, which I'll take. So that's PLAB. I'm seeing here from Ariel coming in right now in real time. Plug and Amazon signed green hydrogen agreement. So let's take a look at Plug. Oh, wow. Ooh, wow. You know, I was in this when the Inflation Reduction Act came out. Should have held on. Ooh, I was in this one in a fuel cell. That's probably up in sympathy. There you go. Fuel cells up in sympathy. You can see 200 DMA at 517 if you're interested in that. Wow. Man, look at this. Look at your resistance here at $32, $31.55. Wow. Cool. If it breaks over 32, looks like this can go to 35 plus. Congrats to long-term holders of PLAG. I know there's a lot of diamond handers in that stock. Oh, man. I used to talk to Andy Marsh back when this was a penny stock, like over a decade ago. Should have stuck with that guy. All right. Let's see. Where are we at? We got lots going on. BCRX. But before that, let's see. Okay, good. Just checking my notes. All right. BCRX had a little bit of news this morning. Not so consequential, but it did get a tweet from the Walter Bloomberg, and he put in ticker symbol BCRX. So, I mean, it's a 7 million order, but this is part of it's a long-standing order. It's a final purchase, a final of 5 purchases from a $35 million contract. So you're getting another 7 million in, probably kind of expected. 2.75 billion market cap. Fundamentally, probably not so important, but the chart looks really good, right? And Walter Bloomberg tweeting about it might just be the catalyst needed to break. Man, you know what I like to do here? Check this out. We're going to switch from style to line chart, and you can see we're at a high. It was a high close, right? So sometimes I don't like to look at these candles. Well, the 3-month close, right? So let me just go back to the candles, and you'll see here, it's hard to pick these out sometimes, but it's like, oh, our high here is 1543. But really, yesterday was very significant because it was a closing high of 1481 above all these other closes, right? So that's pretty significant in terms of maybe continuation or further breakout. So from a technical signal, and you got this 2200 bullish cross. And then you got that catalyst this morning. So this may have some continuation and a lot of congestion here. Maybe 16. Yeah, it looks like it broke this resistance, the bottom of these candles here, or it's just about to. A nice update from Zach on this the other day, and actually did buy some finally for my long-term IRA. I mean, I've been in and out of this for a couple years, but I'm back in on that one. All right, that's about it. There's a few other like little penny stocks I play with here and there. This kind of stuff, which I don't have strong theses for. There's like KPRX and PSTV. Some of these are just gurus mentioning something on social media. I'm starting to move some of that conversation over to our free trading lounge because I want to keep the VIP trading lounge focused on fundamentals and solid catalysts. But I don't mind playing things where some social media guru is pumping something, and if I can be a little fish behind that and make a little lunch money, I don't care about it. I'll do it. So I made a little bit of money on PSTV, KPRX, riding the hot hand of the guy who gave us NERV, NERV. This thing like doubled in a few days. His name's Farm D. Has been on fire with his swing calls, and he also was on fire with Avaya, AVYA. That was up 100% last few days. He totally nailed that. So he gave us a PSTV, made a quick 4 cents on that, in and out, 85 cents to 89 cents, although he's swinging it, waiting for data to come in September. KPRX is something that was mentioned. Interesting, an analyst put a $6.50 price target on. You can see it here. That's just absurd and crazy. I don't trust that analyst, but I played it for a couple cents this morning, and I might play it for more today. I might be looking at this. This is a very tiny market cap and 5 million market cap, and who knows if this can go up a couple 100%. But I did sell this morning because of 24-cent resistance right here at that gap down. I'm not going to be talking about these stocks in the VIP community because they just don't fit our criteria. And we're coming up, man, these shows are getting longer and longer. Got to be sticking to 15 minutes, guys. You can see POWW, shareholder letter, AGRI, patent, and we'll call it a day here at 9:27. Thanks for joining, guys. We'll continue collaborating in the VIP room the rest of the day. Thank you, everyone.